Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Wine Down with Jaasie and Angie. We're your hosts. I'm Jaasie.
And I'm Angie. What's up?
Welcome back, everyone. You're listening to the podcast that's intended to be your mid-week break. The day of the week where you can just forget about your, nagging children.
Oh, yeah, girl.
That pestering boss.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe just that husband of yours that is just getting on that last nerve of yours.
Amen, sister.
So go ahead and serve yourself a nice glass of wine. Angie, what are you drinking today?
It's funny because you said you were having barefoot the last time we recorded, and now I'm having a glass of pink Moscato barefoot.
Ooh, did you get the big bottle or the regular bottle?
I have the regular bottle. I got it for Mother's Day, so.
Ooh, Mother's Day. We'll get to that in a second here. I'm drinking barefoot as well. I went ahead and switched from the pink Moscato that I had last week to a red Moscato.
Ooh, so Moscato's for the win.
Moscato's for the win. I have an interesting little thing before we start. You've purchased from Shutterfly in the past, right?
Right.
You know when you receive your package and it comes with like these little flyers, one of them being a discount card for a wine club, right?
Uh-huh. Yeah, I've seen that.
I just joined my very first wine club and I am so excited. All 6 bottles arrive tomorrow.
Are you serious?
I'm serious.
That sounds amazing.
I'm excited. I'll have to let you know how they are, but no more barefoot for me after this episode, honey.
Girl, you're a classy bitch now.
Pinkies up. Cheers.
Cheers. Virtual cheers.
So. After last week's episode, we left it off. We didn't talk about our readings. Angie, can we talk about that for a second?
What do you want to know?
How did you feel about your reading? Was your reading on your end accurate? Do you feel like it helped you at all?
I think she was pretty spot on. She started talking about things that were heavy on my heart. And of course, Mother's Day just passed. And sometimes, for some people, that's like a touchy subject. For me, I lost my mother about a few years ago. And so Mother's Day has always been a little touchy for me. So it's just around that time, it's like I self-sabotage myself, even without realizing it. It's just like I start like a few weeks prior to Mother's Day, I start thinking about her and I just kind of like think of not being there for the last moments as much as I should have been. So that was probably what she was picking up on my energy. But
do you feel like getting that information from somebody else maybe helped you see it a different way? Did it maybe help you kind of think maybe I shouldn't focus on this aspect, but I should focus on the beautiful memories we had, or maybe focus about the fact that if she were to see me today, she'd be proud of the person, the mother that I've become?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, I think about that all the time. It's just like that time of the year when Mother's Day comes around. It's a little hard. It's kind of like you learn to grieve. It just never goes away. But definitely what she was picking up on is 100% true. I told myself this year, it's going to be a good Mother's Day. I kind of always just like slouch around and like don't enjoy it. But Eddie, my boyfriend, for those of you who don't know, he's always trying to cheer me up, and he's always like, you're a mother now, you're a great mother, you should be celebrating and celebrating the memories you have with your mom instead of being upset. But it is hard.
Yeah, that's nice though that you do have somebody who on those days where it does seem harder can kind of like help pick you up, and it can remind you, what, I'm not in this alone. So that's nice that he was able to kind of maybe hopefully lift your spirits that day. Hopefully you had a really good Mother's Day too.
But what about you, Jaasie? How was your reading? I feel like it was spot on.
I honestly feel like I needed that. I mean, she was spot on. For those of you who didn't listen, I would advise you to please pause this, go ahead and listen to the other one. It's up on Spotify, it's up on SoundCloud. But she was spot on for me. She mentioned a teeter-totter effect that I felt like I was on with the whole fostering experience that we're doing. I've noticed there are days where I'm having good days, and then I've noticed there are days where I'm not having such a good day, where I'm just like kind of overthinking everything too much. And we'll get to it in a second as to what it is that I overthink, but she kind of did put that into perspective for me. And another thing she said was that I think the Chariot was the card that popped up. And that card, she said, was me trying to grasp and hold on to, trying to control every situation. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
kind of got me as well, because I am that type of person that likes to have some sort of control of what's going on, as well as me trying to control every situation. And after that reading, I did kind of, analyze the situation. And I told myself, you know what, this situation that you're in, you're not going to have total control of. And even just telling myself that, I felt so much pressure just kind of dissolve. So
Did
I,
you talk to Jared about it?
well, you see, the thing is, since I've been on that teeter tot effect, like Jared and I, we're open with our feelings. So if he notices something in me, like I I'm not subtle. He'll definitely notice when a mood of mine has changed, when I go from happy to upset,
Mm-hmm.
because to depressed. So he's definitely noticed it. We've talked about it, and he's told me the same things, kind of that Ali said, to just focus on the now, to take advantage of this moment, and to make those memories. Because if I just focus on what could happen in the end, I might miss out on all those memories. Um,
Right.
so hearing it from both of them just was kind of reassuring for me that maybe I am sabotaging myself, kind of like you are, where I'm just kind of now
Mm-hmm.
not letting myself enjoy this moment. And I'm already fast forwarding to what for me could possibly be the worst ending to this whole situation.
Right. And it's almost like she said, like you have a control problem. And I'll admit I have the same exact issue. So it's like something that you can't control, something that is out of your control, and yet you're like self-sabotaging yourself because it's like if you don't have control, you don't want it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like you said, you're missing out on like the beautiful aspects of it. I'm missing out on enjoying Mother's Day with being with my daughter. You're missing out on enjoying the moments that you have with the child. So yeah, I feel like our readings were pretty spot on, honestly.
I honestly think so as well. And that's why, again, I say if anybody out there is listening who is maybe having a hard time right now, with the loss of a loved one, with what's going on right now, maybe a spiritual advisor would be a great person to talk to in these times. If that sounds like you, if you can benefit from her services or somebody like hers, reach out to them, because it definitely can help.
Yeah. Speaking of your fostering, though, do you want to touch base on that? Do you want to let our listeners know how you got into it? Because I'm kind of
Oh,
curious too. Like, I don't even know about like what they would discuss in classes. So tell me about it. Like, what got you guys into like being like, you know what, let's foster?
to be completely honest, since we've been together for the last 9 years, we've always talked about a family. And to us, the way that we could do that was always through adoption. And it always was so expensive. So after a while, that possibility of us one day having a family just kind of seemed impossible. If not impossible, it just sometimes it seemed kind of like it wouldn't happen until years down the road. So my mom actually works with somebody who got into it, who got into the whole foster system, took in kids with his wife, and she told us, she's like, hey, here's a number for this person, go ahead and give them a call. It may be a great way for you to be able to start that family that you want. And my mom is kind of like, she's been at this point in her life where she wants grandchildren already. So I feel like she not pushed us, but she was like, hey, it's time now, give me that grandkid. So
Oh my God.
she kind of,
Such a mom.
but I mean, I don't blame her. My mom, she's a knitter. So she's been occupying herself a lot by making like these cute little outfits. She's been doing it for like the past couple of years. And she always says, one of you needs to have a kid already. I have all these outfits. Like I have no grandbabies to wear
Oh, that's so sad.
out. So we took her advice. We did a little bit more of research, and Jared and I talked about it, and it was something that we said, let's do it. And let me tell you, right off the bat, for me, it was one of those things where I told myself, and I told Jared, I was like, if I cannot be guaranteed that I'll be able to adopt the child that's being given to me, I don't want to do this. Those were my beliefs going into it. Walking out of that hour-long orientation, I stepped out of that and I was like, I have to put my feelings aside. I have to put selfishness, I would say, aside, and kind of be more open, allow myself to open my heart and the possibility of it not being forever, to help a child that
Mhm.
might not have the best circumstances right now.
So how long was the process of the classes? Like how many weeks did you have to do? Was it hours that you had to complete, or was it just like a certain amount of weeks that you had to complete?
In total, it was a total of 8 weeks. We would meet once a week on Thursdays for 8 weeks, and the classes would be about 3.5 to 4 hours long.
Oh my God, that's so long. What would they talk about in the classes? Like give us some topics.
So each week would be one specific topic. I don't remember off the top of my head every specific topic, but it ranged anywhere from trauma, children that are dealing with traumatic events that have happened to them, how to handle a situation like that. We talked about sexual assault, being there for a child who opens up to you about an experience they might have had in another foster home or the home that they were taken from. Um,
Oh my God.
it was just so much information that every week it was such a hard thing. We would go about our day that Thursday, and then every day at 6 p.m. we'd drive to our class, and then it would just be 3 to 4 hours about these like kind of depressing topics. But you kind of have to put yourself aside from all that and understand like there's a child that is going through all of these things. And just placing myself in like their shoes, like when we would talk about trauma and being like how much pain a 3 year old might be holding in because of a
Oh my
traumatic.
God, that's horrible.
Exactly. And we would hear so many examples. One of the instructors that actually instructed the course, she was in the foster care system herself. She told us her journey, her example, how she never got, adopted or had a permanent placement. I just kind of liked seeing how I went into it with, if I can't have it, a child that's going to be mine, I don't want to do this. And I completely, changed my mind on that. And we got to the point where we were like, you know what? It's not a forever thing, but we're happy knowing that we're providing an escape from a terrible situation. Now, I knew that was always going to be maybe the hardest part for me when we were actually doing it and coming to the fact that it may not be a forever thing. And girl,
Mm.
I did not know how hard it would hit me.
Can't imagine feeling like I'm giving this child my all, I'm giving all this child my love, and then it going back to a home that is not fit for that child still.
And I see that as well. And that's what kind of infuriates me a little bit. That I'm like, how is it that you're gonna take a child out of this quote unquote bad environment, put them in an environment that you deem is good, because obviously somebody has to go through these courses, they have to get certified. So how are you going to take them from that terrible environment, put them in an ideal environment for what, 6 up to a year, and then if we deem that the parents have changed their ways, we put them back into that household? It's something that in the first couple of days, like it kind of bit at me. It was like, I'm giving this child like all my love unconditionally. It was so
Mhm.
surprising to me how in day 3, like I was in love with this kid already. Like,
Oh my God.
and then like that's when it started to slowly hit me, like I may give this child all the love, I may like teach this child like valuable things, how to have an open heart, how to have an open mind in the world, how to not be prejudiced, all these beautiful things that I would love to instill in a child, and then know that it may not be forever.
Right.
So that part has been the most difficult to adjust to. At first, honestly, it was really hard. I think I cried. Uh, we've had Ash for 3 weeks now. That's a total of how many days? I don't math. I would say out of all those days, though, I've maybe cried like a good 10 to 11 days.
Aw. I feel like you've had him for so much longer. Only three
Girl,
weeks?
I do too. I feel like it's been forever. But like just today, we were talking
I
about how
know.
next week is going to be a month already. And I'm like, why does it feel like so much longer? Is this how parents feel?
It goes by so quick though. Like in a blink of an eye, it'll be 6 months. Like, oh my gosh.
It's crazy, but it's honestly every day is getting a little bit better for me. To be completely honest, the days that were hitting me hardest the most would be Wednesdays and Saturdays, which is when we have his virtual visits with his mom.
How did those go?
They're virtual visits, so we're in his bedroom, surrounded by his toys. We have snacks for him and everything, and we've allotted 1 hour those days where he can just like she can spend time with him. After the first one, I've told you I'm too emotional. I just couldn't do it. She just kept talking about like getting him back and like the plans that she has, and that kind of like hit me a little bit. After that is when I started to get I don't want to say depressed, because depression is a real thing, and I don't feel like I hit depression, but it's something that every time that I thought about it, like I would go into tears. Angie, there was one night, like really early on into all this, and it was during one of his visit days where Jared was giving him his bath and everything. And like, I was so emotional. I was so in my feelings. Like, I think I drank like half a bottle of wine or almost an entire bottle.
Girl, I finished a whole entire bottle, no problem, not even being depressed. So
No. Now I can drink a whole bottle myself, but like when you start to do it for reasons, to hide a pain, or because at that point, that's what I felt like I was doing.
do you think it's not even the fact that you might not know that you might not have this particular child forever? Do you think it's maybe more of, maybe I'm getting a little too deep, but more of the fact that you can't have your own biological children, or is it simply the fact that you're angry because these people are not treating this child good enough and you cannot keep him?
So I know that it was because of the fact that I know that I'm not going to be able to keep Ash, because when I think about, when I feel like I was at my lowest, I would think about the fact that I'm giving myself to this child, and I would think of him exactly. And I'm like, I feel like I know him so much already, and I would put myself in the situation where he's no longer in my home, and I would like start to cry. I'm like, this is my baby. So
Oh my
I
God.
thought of like not having him. So that's what made me like upset, kind of sad.
That's so emotional. Oh my
And to
God.
be honest, the first couple of times I saw it the way that you just did, like, how are you going to give him back to a set of parents that, don't know how to give him the life that he needs? And I kind of stopped myself there, because I'm like, I'm not in a position to judge this person's actions. Maybe they just had a little slip. Till this day, I don't know why they took Ash from his home, but I'm a little bit better now at not holding a judgment against his mom. I'm now at the point where I am accepting the fact that it may not be forever. I'm 50-50 right now. In one way, it's the teeter-totter. In one way, I'm
Right.
like, oh, I hope this happens. I hope this is my forever child. I hope that I'm able to walk him to his first day of school. I want to be there for him when he tells me about his first loves. I want to, prep him for his prom. And then on the other end, I'm a little bit comfortable enough to say, well, I feel good knowing that, the short period of time that he's with us, we're giving him the love that he deserves, the attention that he needs, the care that he's surrounded by all this love. So I'm seeing the parents now as human beings as well. I see them, and it's no longer, oh, you're not deserving of this child. It's more co-parenting now, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe they have to see the way that I interact with this child, how I say no to certain things, for them to be able to see, oh, you know what, maybe I wasn't doing it correct the other way, maybe I wasn't disciplining them correctly. So
And it's like you said, like, I mean, maybe they just hit a bump. Maybe they're around the wrong people. Maybe they got into some bad things, and they're really like really trying to get their child back and change their lives. But the sad part is that you don't know that.
yes,
And there are parents that do want to change to get their children back, and they do change, which is
yeah.
great, which is why the system is the way it is, and that's why they place children in homes temporarily. But then there's also parents that do not deserve to get their
Mm-hmm.
children back, and they're not going to change, which is the hard.
Girl, I know. And that's one of the things that I fear the most. Like, what if a judge determines that his parents have made and I'm making quotes here, sufficient life changes for them to be able to take their child back. But let's say 2-3 months down the road, they slip up again, but we don't catch it. I'm hoping
That's very
I'm
scary.
hoping from the interactions that I've seen with his mom that, she is learning from this mistake that she had, this little hiccup that she had. I'm hoping that if she is able to get him back, that she can kind of look at this obviously as a second chance and not screw it
Right.
up. And if she can do that, I am going to be content. I know that I did my job as a foster parent to give the child love, to give the child care, a roof over their head, to be there for them. I did what I needed to do. Hopefully that parent took this time that they didn't have their child to get their shit together. And if they don't, if they end up taking Ash and months later they, take him back and he comes back into my placement, I will be ready for him with open arms. But I'm okay that if it ends up happening that they give me a call saying, hey, we're going to go pick him up. Yeah, I'm going to be devastated as hell. Yeah, I may go through a period of where I may feel depressed, but that's a human
I
feeling.
don't think it would be if someone weren't to feel like that, especially wanting a family of their own, then you're only human, and I don't think you should beat yourself over your feelings. You should feel everything that you're feeling. I just think it's completely normal. How is Jarrett? Is he kind of like the same way?
So we were already close going into this, and one of my fears was that we would actually grow apart through this, but I feel like it actually hasn't. He has seen me at those dark moments, and he has lifted me up, and he has handled it so well himself. Like, like those moments where I feel like I can't do it, where I'm just so much in my emotions and in that dark spot, he'll just take the load from both of us and just
Oh my God,
continue.
that's so
And
amazing.
then after we put Ash to bed, like he's always there to be like, you're okay, like we're okay, we'll get through this. And I could not have chosen a better partner to do this with. He's great. He hasn't shown his emotions as much as I have into this. And it's something that he has said, like, once it does, if it ends up happening that they give us the call that they're going to pick him up, that's maybe when he's going to handle those emotions head on. And I told him, maybe it's me, knowing that you're not going to face those emotions now. I'm facing them right now. So when that moment does happen, I can be strong for both of
Oh,
us.
yeah, he's a hard a tough cookie. So he doesn't really show his emotions a lot, which I'm super surprised because he's a Cancer. Like, what the hell? So
But
do you have any parenting
yeah.
fails or anything that you guys find funny so far? Like, what are some stories? Do you guys have anything?
We are getting to, like, the past couple of days, he has started to show more of his temper side. If he doesn't get what he wants, he'll start to throw a fuss. So we're getting to that point where we're teaching him, hey, don't, this isn't the way that you act. Sometimes as a parent, you just want to grab him and like kind of give him that little, tap on the booty and be like, hey, you
Mm-hmm.
don't do this. This isn't how you act just because you want one strawberry. You don't,
Kids are something else, dude.
so I'm stepping into those shoes as well, but Jared is definitely more of that parent, the authoritative
He's like
one.
the dad, where it's like
Um,
the mom is like just like losing her shit until it's like so bad, and then I'm just like, I'm gonna tell your dad.
exactly.
I'm like
So
honestly really, really upset that I still haven't met him.
I know, but this is almost over. We're
Technically,
almost kind of,
today it got
well, no,
lifted, right?
it did. Today's May 15th here in the state of Nevada, the city of Las Vegas. A lot of our stores are opening up, retail stores. I got that text message from Goodwill saying, hey,
Really?
bitch,
Because I
come
really wanted
back.
to low key get my mask on and go to Home Goods, but I tried looking for Home Goods or TJ Maxx and it doesn't say that they're open yet.
No, I think TJ Maxx is opening up on
Boo.
Wednesday. I think we're gonna drop Ash at my parents' house one day, and we're gonna take time, kind of like to do what we used to
Oh
do
yeah.
before a child, and that was, yeah, that was go to different stores, just to walk around, have lunch somewhere, maybe go see a
That
movie,
sounds
and then
nice.
pick up parenting life
Yeah,
again.
because you guys definitely need it, especially being cooped up in the house together and then with a, new child, you definitely need that time.
Oh yeah, I'm needing it. But let's go ahead and step aside here. I want to hear from you. You're a mother. Your little girl, Adrena, I love her. What did you do? Tell me some tips so that I can follow
Girl,
along your
what tips do you
footsteps.
want to know? I'm kind of just winging it.
Angie, you're not a regular mom.
Super
You're a
cool
cool
mom.
mom. No, that's good though. I mean, a lot of people maybe do screw up because they think of parenting and they think of this image of what a parent is supposed to do.
You know,
Every
you know
child.
what I think it is though, is that like, I mean, granted, No mom shaming, no, nothing like that is going on with what I say. I've noticed that like most of the time it's like standard of like what society says you have to be at to have a child. You cook, you clean, you take care of the kids and all this stuff. And I'm just like, screw that. Like, yeah, my kid is fed, my kid is clean. My kid has a roof over her head. She has her own room. She has toys. She's well taken care of. We're not like in my mindset, like once you have a child, yes, things change, but like you're not a slave to the mom life. Does that make sense? Like,
Oh, it totally does. People think that just because you become a mom, you lose the ability to be able to go out, to have a social life, to, still take part in those recreational activities that you did take part in because you had when you
yeah,
didn't have a child. Now more than ever, you should continue to practice those recreational activities because parenting is just a complete different level of stress that gets
no, for
added
real.
onto your life. So to those people that like mom shame, dad shame, judge every little thing that a parent does, you may not see me, but I'm giving you the big old middle finger
Right.
right now, bitch.
And it's like, to each his own. Like, if you want to be a stay-at-home mom and like bake cookies and be that mom that like does the parent teacher like get-togethers, do you, boo.
And you do
Exactly. But
it.
at the end of the day, if I have 2 weeks worth of work and then I am also a full-time mom plus cleaning my house, if I want to take a break on a Friday night and go get wasted with my friends and take an Uber home, like, don't be judging me when I'm posting host Snapchats.
Now, let me ask you, do you actually have people that do that to you, that kind of like message you and say, hey, you shouldn't be doing this stuff? Like, how do you see it? Like, how do people shame
I've
you?
never really had anybody like mom shame me legit. But I feel like it was in the back of some people's minds. Like when I first had Adrena, like I would have people over, or I would, drink at my house. My daughter was safe. She was on a sleep schedule. She had her own room. She would sleep, and then we would play like board games and drink in my house. We would kind of turn up, but
Yeah.
I mean, not all the time, but it's just kind of like it's very stressful being a new mom, and I feel like I don't know, like some people have support. I don't feel like I had very much support from people, um, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like the times that I had my friends and the times my daughter, it was her bedtime. So it was like kind of like my way to shut the stress off, if that makes sense.
Yes, it does. You need to be able to keep that sense of normalcy.
Kind of have to like have a sense of normalcy because otherwise you're gonna go crazy. I don't know, but everyone's mom experience is different. That's why I do not judge no one. It's hard to explain, but it's like obviously my child is my number one priority. I am a mom 100% of the time. I work full time. So it's like the times that I want to let loose and be a little hoe, nobody better judge me, okay? Because I will not judge you.
And you know what the sucky thing is? A lot of the time, the people that end up, being the ones that judge people the most or shame people are the ones that aren't even in
Or
that situation. The ones that don't have
not even
kids.
that. I want to say that the people that are shaming, like I'm not saying this happens to me, but like I want to say from like an outside perspective, you're a stay-at-home mom, right? You have multiple children. I have
Mm-hmm.
one. I get time to myself, or say, my daughter's father gives me time with my friends, and I let loose a little bit, and I post on Snapchat, and they're like, "Oh, where's her child? Like, what is she doing? Like, she should be at home." Like, I just feel like those are the people that are happy because they don't get that time off. You know what I'm it would be people like that that are like
For
judging,
real.
judging, judging, judging. But in the back of my mind, I would think like, oh, maybe you need some time off,
Like, do you want me to watch your kid while you go
right?
out
Don't
and
you need
hoe
a hoe
around?
night? Speaking of
No, but
parenting is freaking crazy, and I have a couple stories to go over before we end the podcast for the day. I had a couple times that I wanted to bring up. So parenting fails 101, parenting, I guess you could say some crazy stories. I'm sure we've all had them. One time up was I was out. I think Adrena was like around like maybe like 8 months old, and I her clothes like to donate to like a consignment store that was only for children. And I stuffed like two
Mm-hmm.
or three bags. And honestly, like most of the time, I would really go and donate them to behind the courthouse in Las Vegas, like the Las Vegas courthouse, there is a donation center that like helps with like kids in foster care. 90% of the times I would do that,
Okay.
but this time I went to the consignment store because I noticed it was by my work and I was like, oh, I want to check that place out. So let me just bring the stuff and then I can check out some things. Anyways, we went there. I had just donated everything. Was looking around and I was like, you know what? Like, let's go to the store. Like, there was like another like kind of like a TJ Maxx like down the street. So we went there, and I realized something stunk, and I was like, what is that smell? And I realized that Adrena had shit all over herself inside the store. She was in we had put her in a stroller to like push inside the store because she looked like she was sleepy. So she had shit all over herself, all
Uh-huh.
over her back. So me and Eddie were like, fuck, let's take her to the car and change her diaper and wipe her down with wipes. Luckily we had like a trash bag so from the store. So we like put out all the wipes in the trash bag. But okay, we cleaned her up and we're like, okay, well now she doesn't have any clothes because we mom fail. I did not pack extra clothes because this shit didn't happen normally. So we had ironically went back to the consignment store where I had just donated everything just to buy something back. So I had to
Oh my
buy
gosh.
the stuff that I donated back and then I put on something on her. We went back to the store and I didn't realize when I looked inside the mirror, I was like, what is this brown stuff on my face? I had accidentally wiped shit on my face, and for 30 minutes, Eddie didn't tell me. He's like, "What? I didn't even realize." And I'm like, "Are you freaking kidding me? I've been walking around a store for 30 minutes with
Oh,
shit on my face."
oh
So
my
I
God.
guess that's a little parenting fail slash funny parenting story that I had. I did have one more story though that is not a funny story. It's actually very scary. I remember Adrena was like I would say
Oh.
like around 6 months, 7 months, and when I started going back to work, I would get up like around 5 o'clock in the morning. I would get my makeup ready and all of that. And Adrena, she'd be awake. I'd be feeding her her bottle before she would go to the sitter's house. And she didn't know how, she was barely learning how to roll. So I would place her on my bed. And she was, and when I tell you barely learning, like the previous week type shit. I had placed her on my bed, which for those of you who don't know, obviously, like my bed is up pretty high, all the way off the freaking bed. Like all I heard was like a thud and crying. And I like freaked out. I ran over there.
Oh my God.
She had fallen off the bed and hit her head on like the knob to my dresser. Oh my God, when I tell you I panicked the worst, I literally screamed
Oh.
so bad. Eddie was in the shower because he was also getting ready for work. He ran out of that shower butt naked because he didn't know what was going on. He's like, "What happened? What happened? Like, what's going on?" And like, dude, when I tell you, like, she cried for like literally, I would say like a minute. I was crying for like 10. Like, I was literally like, I'm such a bad mom. And Eddie's like, it's fine. Look at her. She's smiling. She's good. But I was literally crying in the car. I would just look at her and I was like crying on the way to work. I'm like, oh my God, I feel so bad. Like, what if she had hurt herself even worse? But I just remember, because at the time Eddie's mom was watching her, and like 2 hours later, she had like snapped a picture of her and was like, look at her forehead, like kind of like not making it a joke, but like look at her forehead, like, and she had like this huge bump on her forehead. And I was like, she was
Oh,
probably
how old
like
was she at that time?
I would say maybe even more than that. Maybe I want to say like
Oh,
it's so hard now. She's almost 5. I can't even remember the times, but I want to say maybe between 5 to 7 months she was like starting to roll. But yeah, I was just like, you know what, little girl, you're gonna be sitting in a little
damn.
bouncy thingy from now on, drinking your milk.
Fuck what fuck the stereotypes of what a mom should be like. Fuck society telling, you what type of box you should
You
fit
be
in
your
as a
own type of
mom. You be your own
girl.
type of mom. I like that.
All right, Jaasie. Well, I think that's all the time we have for today's episode. If you guys have not done so already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and make sure you're following us on SoundCloud and Spotify. And also, if you are not following us on Instagram already, go ahead and go over there and follow us. Our Instagram handle is at Wind Down with Ja, that's JA, and send us a DM. Tell us what you guys want to hear from us. Let us know some topics that you guys want us to discuss. We need some fresh new ideas. So anyways, thank you guys so much again for listening to this week's episode, and we will talk to you guys soon. Bye.